Browns at Steelers. Steelers come away victorious, as they have a lot this season, 27-14. Top 5 graded Pittsburgh Steelers here in this game. Running back Jalen Warren's at the very top of the list with an 86.3 defensive tackle. Keanu Benton starts the run of box defenders here for the Steelers. 85.6 grade for Benton. Edge rusher Alex Highsmith with an 84.6. Now that Highsmith is back in the lineup, it just feels like it's either him or Nick Herbig that's just absolutely going off every single week. Linebacker Patrick Queen with an 82.6. Linebacker Landon Roberts with a 79.6. And then quarterback Russell Wilson, 77.2. On Cleveland's side of things, edge rusher Isaiah McGuire, an 83.7. Jordan Hicks with a 90.0. Actually, that should be reversed. He should be number 1. But number 3, Devin Bush, an 87.3. Edge rusher Myles Garrett, an 86.3. Running back Jerome Ford, a 69.1. Jameis Winston in this game, 58.2. No pick sixes, though. Right?
Well, that's good.
Right? There weren't any. Keanu Benton didn't pick six it.
No, he didn't pick six.
He'll
get a touchdown one day, I believe. What a great player he is.
Stat that told the story for you. What do you got?
Well, no pick sixes, but the Browns showed you also why they are 3-10. Yes, they beat the Steelers. The first time when they beat the Steelers a couple weeks ago, they showed you why in a one-game scenario any team is dangerous. The second time around, they showed you why they're 3-10. The mistakes, and the Steelers took advantage of all of them. There was early in the game a sack and a short punt and a punt return that put the Steelers deep in Browns territory. That was a field goal for Pittsburgh. Jameis interception leads to a touchdown. 2 Dustin Hopkins misses from 38 and 43 makeable kicks. Both of them in a row. They had a back-to-back opportunity. Wrapped around halftime. He misses both field goals. Instead of 13-13, the game's still 13-7. Steelers score a touchdown. And then the Browns have a 4th down try at their own 45-yard line. Didn't get it. Ran to the outside. Didn't get it. Landon Roberts made a great play on it. Steelers score a touchdown there. It was just, this was the one where the losing team makes the mistakes and the better team takes advantage of those mistakes. And you turn all of that into 20 points. And that's all they needed, and the Steelers ended up with 27 in this game. That's where you're at. When you're playing a team like the Steelers, whose defense gives them a lot of margin for error, you don't have much. And the Browns made too many mistakes throughout this game that turned into Steeler points.
Would you believe that Dustin Hopkins has missed more field goals than Justin Tucker this season?
I would believe that because he's my most disappointing guy in this game. This game has
13 missed field goals this year. He's got a 62% field goal percentage.
He's most misses in the NFL. Dead last in field goal grade for us among kickers. He's missing.
He's got a 28.4 field goal grade.
Yeah, he's missing short. And again, this game, it was 2 field goals wrapped around halftime when the Browns had a back-to-back. Right? They had the opportunity that every team wants. And if this game early in the third quarter is 13-13, it has a lot different feel to it. We start getting into territory where, it's late and the Browns are still in this and Jameis, but you just can't have it. And they're makeable kicks. It's not like he's missing 60s. These are from 38 and 43. We saw him miss, a 27-yarder against the Saints, something like that. I mean, I know certain kickers have off years. You mentioned Justin Tucker, but this was kind of a difference in the game. When you have 2 good drives back-to-back, each at the end of the first and the beginning of the second half, and you come away with nothing, that's deflating, especially when the Steelers then take advantage. You go right down the field for a touchdown the very next drive. You go from 13-13, where it should have been, to 20-7, and on that defense, you're not getting down 13 and coming back.
Kicking is just such a fascinating and frustrating part of this game because it's just guys who have all the talent in the world just miss.
And then Matthew Wright gets the Chiefs magic and everything.
Right.
He can hit the upright and it goes right in.
Of course,
to win the division.
Stat that told the story for me is the Browns' offensive line. Jameis Winston, how he dealt with pressure in this game. Jameis pressured 19 times, which is 3rd most in the NFL this week. 48.5 passing grade under pressure. He had 1 big-time throw, but also a turnover-worthy play, and 3 sacks when he was pressured in this game. Joel Bitonio was the only Browns offensive lineman with a passing grade above 61.0. Every offensive lineman in this game gave up at least 1 pressure, and I feel like that's just the overall story of what we talked about with the Browns. I remember first 6-7 weeks of the season, I just continued to hammer who's the most disappointing on this Browns team? It's the offensive line. And they were going through injuries. They had some guys in and out of the lineup. Jedrick Wills is coming back from injury, and obviously he hasn't been great even when he's been healthy out there. But Wyatt Teller's missed some time. Ethan Postic's missed some time. Jack Conklin missed some time. And so they haven't really had a ton of time just together as a group, but even with most of them, 4 out of the 5 that have been out there, they've still struggled. And, with Bill Callahan, who was their offensive line coach for a couple of years, one of the best offensive line coaches in the NFL. He goes from the Cleveland Browns to the Tennessee Titans when his son got hired as the head coach. Brian Callahan now with Tennessee. There's been a noticeable drop-off in how that offensive line has played, without him as the offensive line coach. So that continues to be a stat that tells the story, because even though Jameis is a player who can make magic happen for you when he is pressured, he is also, as we know, heavily volatile. And so anytime that's the case, you're going to get, a lot of times with him, it's just a lot of good and a lot of bad, and that's a tough recipe when you go up against a Pittsburgh Steelers team that is so secure and confident in their identity. They know how to play the football game the right way, and obviously when you're not great up front in the offensive line, well, there's no worse defensive line to go up against than the Pittsburgh Steelers.
The hardest team to block in football.
100%. And which brings me to my most impressive in this one. It is the Steelers' defensive line, because it was more than just pressures, which you had guys who got pressures. Cam Hayward got 2 sacks in this game. Highsmith got 6 pressures, 35% pass rush win percentage, 86.5 pass rushing grade. But Keanu Benton as well, coming off the block, reading a screen perfectly, getting his hands up, getting an interception. It's just the 2 weeks before this, Nick Herbig sort of as this specialized pass rusher, elite pass rush grades in each of the last 2 weeks before this one. So it's the Steelers just hate, and that's obviously without even mentioning the name of TJ Watt, who's talented enough to be a defensive player of the year for you. So this is, without question, the best defensive line in the NFL. And if you are not on your P's and Q's on the offensive line, it's just going to be a rough day, and it was obviously a rough day for Cleveland.
And look, you mentioned Highsmith too. First game back from injury. He's been out for a while.
Right.
And he comes in and he's just, oh, yeah, I'm great too. Here we go. I mean, it's ridiculous. No, they are a massive problem, especially if you think about, say, with the Chiefs with their offensive tackle issues, or the Texans with their interior issues. I mean, it's a defensive line that can disrupt any game they play in. They can take it over. And again, against a team like this, and it's shocking enough that the Browns won the first time, Jameis made enough plays with Jerry Jeudy, but on a consistent week-to-week basis, this is one of the best units of any position unit in football.
Most impressive, most disappointing. Dealer's choice. Where do you want to start?
Disappointing was Hopkins.
Oh, yeah, you said Hopkins, very disappointing.
You know what? I'm taking Russell Wilson. And I'm going the opposite of where you did with Jameis under pressure. The Steelers didn't, the Browns are a tough team to block too. Let's start there. Myles Garrett and the guys up front that they have, right? Pretty good. If your offensive line can't protect you, and the Steelers have had injuries and struggles at tackle, you got Dan Moore Jr. going against Myles Garrett, you've got Broderick Jones struggling on the other side, you got two rookies playing on the inside. If you're a quarterback and you're an offensive coordinator, if your line can't protect you, then you protect yourself. Russell Wilson, 2.44 second average time to throw this season.
Fast.
By far his lowest of the season. His next closest is 2.75 or something. They came into this game with a clear plan of, Russ, you got to protect yourself. I believe he was sacked 4 times in the first matchup 2 weeks ago, and in this one once. Throws under 2.5 seconds, all right? 12 of 17, 124, 3 big-time throws under 2.5 seconds. So still working the ball down the field. And this is without George Pickens, too. Mike Williams had a couple big catches. Wilson making big throws down the field in a decisive manner, along with all of the screens and some different design things that Arthur Smith came in with. That this was a terrific game plan. Actually, I should credit Arthur Smith as well. It was a great game plan. One team was able to work around an elite pass rush because they knew they couldn't protect him, and the other one couldn't. Russell Wilson this year on throws under 2.5 seconds, 87.3 passing grade, second best in the NFL. It's the difference between him and Fields, right? Fields gives you the legs, and in a game like this, he would probably hold the football and run around and try to scramble around the D-line. Russell Wilson knows where to go as the veteran, as a guy who's won a Super Bowl and been to another and been through all the postseason, all the experience, right? Get rid of the football, process the defense quickly, and if nothing else, then just throw it away. That's fine. We'll live to fight another day, but we just can't take 4, 5, 6 sacks against this D-line. You have to protect yourself, and that's what he did in this game.
It's pretty incredible what Russell Wilson has done to get to this point. Thinking of the last year that he was with Seattle, how much of a struggle that kind of was. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't great. It was not the Russell Wilson that we thought about when this team was making playoff runs every single year. Then he gets traded to Denver, new spot. Okay, first year it's with Nathaniel Hackett, and holy cow, that was a disaster. Then it was Sean Payton, but I don't think Sean Payton ever wanted Russell Wilson. I think he took the job very clearly with ownership and the general manager, and Sean Payton was basically like, that's not my quarterback.
And he didn't play that poorly, though.
No, he was fine.
That's
He was,
the thing. It's
he
not
was
like
certainly
he wasn't
better.
terrible last
No,
year.
he was better with Sean Payton. There's no doubt about it. But it was nothing like what we had thought of with Russell Wilson, even like a couple of years prior. So they were moving on from him made sense from Denver. And then, he goes to Pittsburgh, and it's almost like, man, is this it for him? Like, it's just kind of a year where it's going to be him and Fields, kind of in and out of the lineup. And I wondered if that would be the case. He looks awesome. Russell Wilson looks good enough to where, like, damn right you give this guy a contract extension, right? Unless you think you're getting Sam Darnold or something. Like, you could run it back with both these quarterbacks.
Give him 2 more years, sure.
If Fields would come back in this situation, now maybe Fields wants to go to a situation where he thinks he's going to have a better chance of being a starter. That makes a lot of sense. But if I'm Pittsburgh, I'm running this exact duo back. 100%. And it's going to cost you more money now to do it, but they're playing well enough to where that's the case. Most disappointing for me in this game, Browns on third down, 2 for 13. Yikes. 15%, it's not going to get it done, ever. So that was my most disappointing there to wrap things up. Thanks for watching, everybody. Make sure you like and subscribe the video. And if you don't have a PFF Plus subscription, you can get one to see all the premium stats that we talked about here on the show, plus the expert betting and fantasy advice over at subscribe.pff.com. The description is also right below, so if you are not a PFF Plus subscriber, you can become one today.